Yay, I believe I am live. Welcome. On this powerful full moon in Aquarius, August 19, I saw you last pre-new moon of this month with lots of deep gratitude to my ancestors and to the seers, the oracles, and those that sit with me in my council that supported that message. It shared some deep message to unpack over the past weeks. How is your heart? How have you eaten today? How are you breathing? Allow yourself, as you step into this divination connection, to trust in the hue of the human, the divinity that is carried in, amongst and amidst our blood and our bones, and all that is aspect or accessed of the elements within us, around us, below us, above us. Welcome. For this divination connection today, I would recommend to keep water handy, to hydrate necessarily, and even if you wish, or if you are listening to this on the replay too, to even listen to it after a shower or listen to it in water, to listen to it with your feet in the mud, to listen to it after you touched dirt with your hands. For the energies of this month that have influxed and you're probably feeling them mucho, are asking for us to keep in deep connection to the earth and our waters. Also, know that divination are ways for guidance, message, support, sustainable support that can be accessed within. So much in this channel is here to support you in you remembering your gifts, in trusting them more, and allowing you to be in relations and connections with your ancestors, as well as the divine ones. To acknowledge the potentiality that you may be oracle, seer, channel, diviner, medium. And of course, if you wish to move beyond the courses of action that are shared on my YouTube, you're welcome to join me further for divination study and practice with ancestral connections on my Patreon, where I offer circles of practice and connection on a monthly basis, where you can continue to unwind some of maybe the ancestral wounds and the shadows with care, with gentle support from the ancestors, in order to fully acquiesce, acclimate, and accept your gifts. For they are needed. They are needed in the now, aren't they? We're here in the midst of immense times that my ancestors share we have prepared for. Meaning that if we are here and we are of witnessing all that is occurring within our bodies, within our lands, within the waters, as well as abroad, beyond, to the whole entirety of humanity at this point. That we are being asked to step up, most definitely to witness, to bear account, to testify. I see this. I am acknowledging that these things are occurring within society at this time. And in that witnessing, in acquiescing, to continue to learn from the original land keepers, the wisdoms of the Black and Indigenous peoples, our trans elders, to support in further mending the divides that separate us at this time, and to support new relations, better ways, be it on the ground in your local communities, to the furthermost reaches of this globe. So I welcome you. I welcome you on this full moon. May we drink water together. Deep gratitude to the access for water. Deep gratitude. Let's breathe together. Let us acknowledge and share prayer. Let us connect into that innermost cavern and safest space of our heart. And as I acknowledge those that have gathered virtually, be it live or for the replay, in energetic connection, to listen in, to receive what may be shared forwards for us at this time. I wish to also acknowledge those that cannot sit with us, those that cannot actually step into the safe cavern within, for their actual existence at this time is being threatened, that they may not have access to water, to food, to care. I sit here in the acknowledgement of what immense gratitude and privilege at this time is to sit and gather. And may us in that acknowledgement continue to tend deeper into our relations with the land, to learn from the elders and the tenders and caregivers of our lands, and to continue to see how we can support the mending most responsibly, the ways that have separated, divided, and harmed. Allowing yourself as you breathe, some gentle rubs of the chest area, really bringing focus and attention and awareness to our heart. Allowing some loud exhales and inhales of breath. Find your stones. Find stones of the rivers. Find stones of the rocks that allow you to feel the connection to the earth itself. I bring in and welcome hematite today. And as you hold on to your stones, allow yourself to merge with them. For their strength and stability to soothe and ooze into your pores and skin. And for the waters of your energetic being to move gently, honoring the malleability of this full moon day, accepting that the potentiality that later tonight, tomorrow, the next days may feel very different, may bring different perceptions, different boosts or bolsters of energy and support. So hold your practices at this time dear. The simple practices, the ones that tend and care to your body and our earth. Keep your visions clear, true, and dear, and allow them to embody care for humanity, for animal, for plant, for tree. Allow yourself to welcome in the trees that encircle where you are seated, no matter how far they are from your point in space. Welcome the trees to the right. Welcome the trees to the left. Welcome the trees behind you. Welcome the trees in front of you. Allow them to encircle and support your well-being within. Welcome the air in. Honor the air around you. Welcome the messengers and the helpers of the birds, the insects, the animals. So many helpers here to support our care for our bodies, our earth, our waters, our air. Allow your song to sing deeply within. The song and the sounds of your people combined, of all that courses and moves within your blood and your bones. Acknowledging all that you have alchemized, all that you have transmuted, shifted, rectified in your ancestry and in your lineages thus far. Honor the shadows still yet to be seen. And honor the gifts that your ancestors share. Honor the knowing that your soul brings in to this mix. Welcoming in the guardians of the souls. coming in the protectors. On many planes, on many planes. Slow and sweet breaths today. I'm honoring that the full moon reached its zenith probably about an hour and a half or so prior to me connecting with you today. So I will roll and ride with what is arriving. I will honor these connections and trust I will review and listen to what comes out of my mouth, as always, to learn and to see how to shift and care better for the message, for the transmissions, as well as to learn from them myself within my own rhythms. So I welcome you. The first cards I will be pulling are to check in on our emotional state from the Cosmic Laws Oracle. And the two cards that come up that I trust may bring further message throughout the reading today, because I tend to receive channelings from these wondrous kind of watercolor images. The first one, as you see, is number 32, Force, Strength. My ancestors wish to share. They're like, a good message, good work on the cleansings of the blood, good work on supporting much to clear and shift within your bloodlines already. Take a moment to acknowledge that. Take a moment to recognize the good work that you have done already in the timelines of multiple seasons, even annular rhythms. Take a moment this moon cycle, take a moment this time, this week, to acknowledge the good works. It's important. Sometimes when we do deep ancestral works, deep clearings, deep shiftings of things, of pains, of woundings, of traumas, of hurts, of harms that have felt like they have been ingrained into your bones to play out again and again and again and again, that it is as necessary to take time to acknowledge the workings completed, the workings and where they have brought you already in the acclamations of your wisdom, of your peoples. And trust that you, as was shared even in the intro, they're sharing is like an important part of that mix. To not think that you are completely just here to replicate and to replay even just the good of your ancestors. As you cleanse, clear, and support their healings within your being, you allow much more to be revealed. Of on top of those two lines are bloodlines, and how many times they have been intermixed and intermingled with peoples and different ways and places and cultures. To acknowledge that as you cleanse and clear those ancestral lines and doing all these good works of healing and moving through the pains and the pains and the wounds, that you will start to find within the spaces between access to the third line, access to the third line, the soul line, the one that you brought in. And some of you by this point might even know where your soul first originated from. You may have found the origination or the origination point, the origin point of where your soul first was conceived in. Some of you may be still working back or trying to work back to that point. Trust that in these days you might access certain knowings of these origins to allow further merging. They keep sharing the word acquiescing, but it like this wondrous kind of acquiring of there. It's almost sharing. It's like, you know, you're moving through all this stuff that's in your blood, all the things that are ingrained and grooved into the bones of your ancestries. And as you're cleansing and alchemizing and transmuting and shifting, you know, transfiguring all the words, all the changing words, that to acknowledge that deep work, take account. They're almost like take account, write an account of the deep work that you have done already to this point, so that you can also acknowledge the moments of knowing, the moments of clearing, the moments of clarity, the moments of remembering, the moments that when the wounds started to heal or reveal or to subside, the intensity or the pain or the shadow, that you were able then to tend and care with such deep love from that inner most point of soul, and tended and cared to continue to gather, retrieve, remember, gather, retrieve, remember. And in these three, we discover that we have sweet choice. We have sweet choice, and knowing that at this point in time, in this timeline, that we are currently, they're almost like sharing that we are currently residing on or dancing on, exploring on, moving on. That this is time for further retrieval of aspects forgotten or feeling that they were lost or misplaced. If you feel that there is still something forgotten, linked, or misplaced, or mistaken, or mistook, all those kind of weird words, then to acknowledge that that might start to surface within the week ahead. I was going to say weeks, and they're like, nope, within the week. This is an impactful month. Every day carries much potency. So it is important, just like this beautiful watercolor painting. Important to support the dilution within of all that might have been assimilated, reassimilating, and mixing and moving in your understanding of things. This is a week of less kind of like in the head of trying to figure out all the moving parts and the missing links, right? Mentally, and to allow your body to support that process, to really focus on clarifying and connecting and cleansing the body. And then the body, it will just almost like they're just sharing then the clarity, and that support will just start to naturally surface. You won't have to work as hard in the mind. So drinking lots of water, eating good foods, things to support your blood, things to support your health and well-being this week will be quite beneficial. Actually, and almost for some of you will be crucial. This moon is a big one, and they're sharing with that big one. It's almost think of like, okay, so this moon started at this time, But then that big one, that energy of that connection and those agreements between us and the movements of our waters and the movements and flows of the tides and all of these things, right, that the moon supports in movement. To acknowledge that the movements and the ripples from this moon will be felt throughout the week. It won't probably feel like, just think of 1 to 2 days of integration. So to allow yourself this week to just take little gentle sips and to acknowledge that ceremonial rites or ceremonial rituals or experiences may start to discover will even start to occur within just the regular rituals of the day that you'll start to be accessing. Hence why they share, when you actually step in to any type of ceremonial practice or any ritual practice that is agreed and consented upon, and then you kind of sit in and go, okay, I'm here, I'm present for this experience, to acknowledge that it's like that can be gentler and be very caring for it, because those types of experiences will start to even ripple into areas that you might not have been like, hey, I'm in the middle of a work day. I'm at the middle of my desk, or I'm in the middle of a meeting, and now I'm all of a sudden receiving deep message, or receiving waves of emotion, receiving waves of cleansing experience and movement from within. So they're sharing just to acknowledge that these kind of rituals and deep connections in this week 4wards might feel immense. So to acknowledge and just to tend to your, what is coming up in the next card is your equilibrium. Equilibrium. I love in this card, since it is from first language French, and then they bring it into the English. So you see the law of balance, of course, shares this beautiful word equilibre. So, and I speak a lot of equilibrium for many of the more of the deities, the deities that I am in connection with. They share of, to feel, instead of trying to come into balance, this kind of 50-50, like stasis point of I'm in balance, to then acknowledge more that it is of a harmonic equilibrium. There is going to always be movement in our feeling of balance. And in that equilibrium, to trust that as it moves, there's going to be a dance. There's going to be a dance by the multiple energies that you carry. And specifically with the colors here that are sharing of these purples and reds, as you see on this card, right? Purples come from blue and red being mixed. And I'm even getting this very strong message of can you simply accept that every single human carries the energies that have been defined and defined and defined and pulled apart and categorized as masculine, feminine. And to acknowledge that not one is better than the other. But in actuality, we have to learn how to harmonize an equilibrium between what have been felt of as these two energies. Very important right now, very important 4wards, because they work best together. And for some odd reason, we have been defining them as working separately, like meaning they're sharing almost like, think of how you have defined feminine energy and what that does for you. What type of actions does that equate towards? And then how people have defined masculine energy, and then going, what has that equated towards an action or personality or behavior or things like that, right? There might be some noises because I think someone's arriving home. So all the dogs are saying a good big welcome. I'll take some. The beauty of Alive and the beauty of divinatory study is I believe it's neat. Now there's many more messages about being comfortable and being ready, just being open to disruption. And I love that my dogs and practicing and recording live for these past couple of years, that was one of the big training grounds that my council shared with me, was to start to get comfortable with disruption, and not just getting comfortable with disruption and thinking, okay, it disrupted my intention or it disrupted my focus or disrupted my flow. Is that actually that disruption may be supportive of a pivot, a new site, something different of how to chew on that. So to acknowledge, I'm just taking a moment to acknowledge the disruption. Since I am asking, there's a big invite here, of course, to tap into and acknowledge the strength that you carry within your bloods, but then to also acknowledge and acquiesce and accept that. I think I almost like need to have like that tattooed for this for this live today, that word, but to acknowledge that these energies do not work by themselves. They don't. They work together. So to stop defining them as separate things that might be more beneficial, or to find that one, like they're almost like sharing, like, take your issues with gender and bring them away from how you are actually discussing the energy that is flowing through and in your body at present. It is very, very important, because there is more than two. Just like how here I shared there are more than two lines. We shared two ancestral lines, and then there is, of course, soul. Soul. And so similarly here, they're like this law of equilibrium, this ask this year on the number 8. I love it. Even in the month, the 8th month of the 2024, the 8th year, right, is to simply go, hey, time. It's time. If we can learn how to speak differently about people, if we can learn new vocabulary as you work on decolonizing your mind, on working on decapitalizing, on shifting ways out of systems that have supported more death than life. They're like, you can then learn. You can learn to shift the vocabulary, to acknowledge that whatever you have denoted and felt and sensed in your body as energetic feminine, and whatever you have denoted and sensed in your body as energetic masculine, it is time to allow them to dance together. They need to work as one, combined. For in that combination, you discover a new energy, an energy that is beyond the things separated and defined. And that energy combined will support us on this path of mending from large breaks, and like they're almost showing like large rips and fissures and things that are in the globe, to mending on the most finite, tiny, micro level inside our actual energetic being. Yes. Wow. Strong messages right up the front. I always give gratitude for these cards, and I will always list the cards at the end of the live if you're ever interested in working with them on your own. You're welcome at this time to share any seeds or any questions that you wish to bring in prior to me bringing in the tarot. Now, it's neat. I was on the fence about which tarot to work with. Hi, Coco. Some dog love. So I'm just going to take a moment. I got this beautiful medicine made from a local indigenous healer with 7 different trees. I'm just going to take a moment, and you're welcome to know that part of any type of divination is to take time to care for yourself. Honor if you need something to munch. Honor if you need to put some lotions on. Maybe you have some special waters or some fragrant places with plants. Come here. Come here, Poo-Poo. Very interesting. Okay. I don't normally work with a lot of these cards that are calling today. So I'm going to trust that this just might have a couple different connections than normal. And now that I just put lotion on my hands, I can't even open the box. That's a silly thing. Okay. Where is that? There we go. Tried to work with the actual Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck, as well as some angel prayers oracle cards by Kyle Gray. So some definite beloved light beings might wish to be saying hello to you all today. And the Moonology oracle cards by Yasmin Boland. Okay. All right. Dear most beloved and honorable ancestors, sweet messengers of access to the divine, within, around all worlds, of all worlds, all planes. How can you support us forwards from this date through this full moon, as well as to acknowledge and accept, oh, my dog's trying to leave the room right now, and to acknowledge and accept. Are you trying to leave too? Hold on. Come on. I love it. All right. Woo! Okay, dear Moon, what do you wish to share with us? Dear most beloved and honorable ancestors, what do you wish, and how can we be most guided, most supported in the turmoil, in the turbulence, amidst all the flux that is being received at this point in time? I thank you. I thank you. And from our dear Tarot. Ooh, all righty. I can feel the nerves. I can feel the nerves from be it it's neat. Whenever I do a live, I'm also start to feel the energy and tap into the ones that will be viewing it, right, at other times. And so big breaths, big breaths. Hold your stones. Drink your water. Okay. All right. So the oracle cards to support. Thank you, dear spirits. Always, always such gratitude. Literally on this card, it says there's this writing of gratitude. And it's neat how they remember when they said jot down the good things that you've done in the ancestral healings and all the deep work, almost to write an account. There's also even this, again, another prompt for jotting some things down. Count your blessings. Thank your universe. Thank you, universe and angels, for the blessings in my life. And even at the beginning of this message, this even reminds me of the energy of needing to put forward that prayer of like, what deep gratitude, what sweet privilege for us to even be able to connect. To connect, we're breathing, we're listening, we're able to simply be in a safer space for a safer time together. And so, yes, gratitude is an essential practice right now. And if you haven't learned a gratitude practice, I would say look to the First Nations or the Indigenous peoples of your lands that you are on. Learn of the simple ways that they connect and share blessing and gratitude to the land and the water. Learn how they share respect and care to the kin of the animals, the trees, and all the beautiful plants that support the ecosystem and even the healing of our bodies. There's a simplicity to the practice of gratitude. I was actually sharing this conversation, I think it was like maybe even yesterday, with a local friend of mine, and sharing and joking of how I remember when I was like dazed and confused, like probably later teen, early 20 somethings, stumbling and seeking and trying to figure out everything while still really, really in this massive state of rebelling to my situations and the things that I was dealt. And at that time in spirituality groups, there was these like challenges, like 30 days of gratitude challenge, or 5 days of gratitude, 7 days of gratitude, you know what I mean, like how many ever days that you could like commit to, and that every single day you would post 5 things, let's say, that you were grateful for. And I was pissing myself of how at that time it was such a head game for me, meaning that it wasn't me looking at the water running out of my tap and going, holy crap, so grateful. Or looking at having food in the cupboard and going, oh, wow, 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 such deep gratitude. Me cooking that food and being able to then like be in such song of deep gratitude that I can remember these recipes of mixing these vegetables or these herbs and spices together to support my body's well-being. Instead, what came forward at that point, I had to think so hard, and I would want to write it and make it sound so beautiful and like esoteric and out there. And if you followed me on Facebook at that time, I'm sure you probably saw some of these, and I thought so hard about them and spent all this time, and I was all like, up in my head going, what do I have to be grateful for? I'm going to have to like pull it out of thin air. Gratitude is not a practice that is just in the head. Gratitude is a practice of literally, back to that word that is so strong right now, of being a witness, of witnessing truly what is around you, witnessing the current comforts, the current care, the current levels of practice and care for your well-being that you might be privy to. Gratitude for the rains that potentially then can grow the vegetables in your garden. Gratitude for, the rains that support the dry spells and allow then further life to flourish. For gratitude for the simple things, the simplest things. Start to have that. If you haven't had that as a regular practice, see how that can become part of your day. To as much as you acknowledge and do the do's and do all the things on your to-do list, to also then just take space to voice, to sing, to express that gratitude out, to see how you can potentially even create from that level of gratitude. Maybe you'll wish to put something new forward, right? Maybe you'll want to bake a cake with that gratitude and share that forwards. Maybe you'll wish to feel something runneth over from all of that gratitude pouring into you, that then you can share that out. You can share that out to support further reciprocal connections, reciprocity. Well-being, support for all. Honor your beauty. Archangel Jophiel. Thank you, Jophiel, for helping me discover my inner and outer beauty. We are quite a wondrous mix. We have these mirrors, and so we can take a look at how we are outwardly presenting. And of course, then you close your eyes and you experience how you are inwardly experiencing, feeling, sensing things. And if any of what these intro cards shared are any foretelling of goodness, how much deep work we are doing within us, you might almost feel like I'm just getting that there's like needs to be a catch up, right? Like at times, sometimes your body might be falling behind or might be too far forward in comparison to what is occurring internally in the alchemy and in the transformations within. And it's neat, this card of the law of balance even comes back to just as much as we are equilibrium, working on a balancing of the inner energies. That was the invitation for that card, of also taking a moment to acknowledge and honor the time and care for the inner and the outer. Sometimes we work deep on the inner and then take all the efforts out into the outer. Bringing it out into the community, bringing it out into what's farther than you. And then at other times, it might feel like you're doing all this external, outer effort and don't have the time to tend to the inner. And so they're sharing kind of like, I even see within the hands, the hand placement on this winged being, right? Of just kind of acknowledging, like, I acknowledge what I've done within myself, inside, and allowing those deep internal transformations. And I acknowledge also my efforts and what I have been doing to care and tend to myself outside. That's important as well. They're almost like acknowledge that part of this tending, caring, loving, right? The land, tending, caring, loving the body is also honoring. That's neat how I took that moment, even in the reading, to place some nice salve on my hands, right? To acknowledge the times that could honor and care for your body. Allowing the talismans, the sweet scents, if you have them, the lotions. Adorn yourself with the colors or with the different, garments that you wish to wear. Allow your expression of what has transformed within you to acknowledge that there may also feel like there's a desire to do some transformation out. And that doesn't mean about necessarily always just getting a new hairstyle or finding a new you. I'm kind of getting that, like, of how there's so much media about like, find this, like, what are you now? Are you like this style, that style, or that? Like, let your own style be expressed. I clearly do on these lives. It's just like, just trust that how you are choosing to express and share that beauty that you might be feeling and experiencing in you from the depths of all this deep work that you've been doing and caring and tending to you, that to acknowledge, then maybe I'll take a little extra moment to place some salve on my lips. Maybe I'll acknowledge that I can beautify my routine And so it's neat. They're almost, I'm getting from these two cards. Thank you, dear angel cards. They always add such kind of these gentle messages. I understand prior to tarot, but they're such deep, gentle, simple messages, right? It's like how sweet if we could interweave, all of those gratitude processes, those moments of just giving thanks on a regular basis, almost like singing into our day, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you. So sweet, so sweet. Thank you, thank you. And amidst those times of honoring and acknowledging the things that we feel grateful for, taking time to then go, how can then I share gratitude to my body? To acknowledge that my body carries beauty, to acknowledge that my being carries something that is so wondrously beautiful and magnificent, that I matter. And yes, play around. They're almost sharing, like, do some dress up and explore the ways that you wish to express and share of yourself. Maybe you'll try on some different jewelry, so, to see, maybe I don't normally wear jewels. I'll try to put a bracelet on. Maybe I'll wear a color that I really wish to wear. I'll wear a different type of outfit than is out of my comfort zone, but makes me feel really free. For there's almost there's this energy in this acknowledging and honoring of your beauty in being, in person. Woo! There's some depth to that. There's some depth to that process that I'm just tapping into now. And it feels, this is not about just to feel beautiful so you can take a new selfie. This is like a beauty that then can, like, honor, acknowledge the deep experiencing and shifting of what you are feeling in the vitality, the vital being within, to allow to, like, emulate and to express themselves further out beyond the skin, and to even how you choose to adorn and how you choose to share of you. Lots of shifts. Lots of shifts, which is neat, because then the one Moonology card that comes up, and did we get this? I'm going to have to look back on the new moon, because it feels like we've gotten this at least within the past 6 weeks. So I'll have to take a peek back in the last couple live tarots. But how neat that there is this firmament. There is this firmament that is still sharing, hold your vision. Fixed. See, I'm even saying, like, hold, fixed, firmament. Look at these stones. There's something even in us connecting to the stones, right? Of feeling their security, feeling their stability, feeling their, what we would feel as something that's heavy, and actually understand that that is just a whole bunch of vitality, like congested in a more refined and denser space. So these, they're sharing, there's almost like there's a largeness to a lot of your visions right now. There's a largeness to them. They seem very grand. They seem very big. And sometimes when we have big visions, or we get new big things and ideas, they can be, well, they'll bring all the fears up, right, to process and support. And so there's almost like they're sharing that trust, like that yes, there is strength, there is support from the ancestors, there is definitely some actual support in our internal equilibriums happening. I get from even the law of this balance or equilibrium that, like, they're like, just know we've signed up for this. Remember back to the beginning, we've signed up for this. This is a time that has been, there's like a soul agreements for everyone who is living at this time for this type of experience. To an extent. Know that some might make those agreements just simply in being, just in existing. And so to not, like, throw your vision away because it seems too scary, or you might be sorting through some of the fears at present, or might be sorting through some of like the not doings towards the vision, or the other things that seem to be getting in the way of that big vision. And so there's just a thing, hold on to it, but trust that as you hold on to that vision and keep it close, to trust the process. There's this kind of this processing, almost like just how there's a cleansing of our bodies. There's almost feels like there's a cleansing process to some of these large visions. I'm even getting, and this could be even just my of course heart of being like an anarchist at heart, but or a liberationist, someone who wishes to clear these old structures of that have not supported us, of capitalism and the patriarchy and supremacy. So it's neat because I'm almost getting this idea of like as you hold true to that vision and trust that whatever fears come up around it, you have the strength and capacity to process them. That almost helps you strengthen your hold on that vision, strengthen your trust, your inner trust in that beautiful vision that you carry, that beautiful offering of what you carry. Something very unique to you. Okay. Pulled up finally the tarot cards. Always getting to the end of our divination connection, and that's when I bring in the big guns. Now this is neat because when I pulled these cards and popped them down, I did, plop them down like normal, didn't look at them. And then when the other cards came down, the first card, which is usually the one kind of in the past, turned. And I made sure to be aware that it turned, and then I turned it back. Right. And I was like, I'm curious, is this going to be a reversal card, or is this going to be an upright card? And so that turning it back made it an upside down card. And this is an upside down card that everybody wants to have upside down, because right side up, it's like the affirmation of potential more disagreements, more conflicting opinions, more. And this is like they're sharing, have you not seen enough already? Is like, have you started to learn that you can lessen your media intake? Have you discovered that there might need to be, just like how we have diets and care for what we eat, and what we care for or how much we hydrate ourselves, is to acknowledge that there are going to be certain limits and certain levels to limits of how much you can take in of the incessant conflicts that are occurring in social medias. And there's an importance to witness at this time, though. So yes, even that might be a conflicting message. An importance to witness. But witnessing is a little different, isn't it? Witnessing is us looking at this card. It is not being and participating in the clashing of the wands, the clashing of the passions, the clashing of every single, think of if there was those 5 people, and every single one of those 5 people is doing all this beautiful work, and every single one of those 5 people carries a strong vision. And so then, instead of asking them about their visions, instead of just finding out more about the wonder of what they bring, right? Maybe then it is shortened and sped up to simply go, what is your idea on this? Quick. There seems to be in this that they're almost speaking of the swiftness of responsiveness, the swiftness of reaction, the swiftness of reactivity to the multiple ways that people have worked well in images and with word to do really great jobs of triggering, or also not just triggering. The word is almost like, maybe you'll remember the word, but it's kind of like manipulating someone in order for them to believe you, like coercing you to believe in their vision. And so the swiftness, the swift prompts of needing a response or needing a reaction, or needing to be as swift as you may being prompted. They're sharing, slow that down. That's the number one thing I'm getting from the switch, is first slow that down. See how, yes, many people speak of discernment. I'm sure I've said it too, of like taking time to discern, but it, on top of discernment, because discernment is still a process of space and time. Like before you do something, it's giving yourself time to, I'm even here showing like, to steep and spin or swirl the tea, taking time to go to the bathroom, to eat a meal, and then to do maybe 2 other things on your to-do list before you step in. And then to acknowledge that maybe it's not then just about debate, conflict, yes, no, this side, that side, 15 sides, blah, 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 blah. But to acknowledge that every single one of the people that are sharing things at this time that might feel conflicting are all encompassing, huge, beautiful humans, each of them and every single one of them with different access points of their ancestral connections, ancestral wounds, of different access points to their soul, or to trying to retrieve their soul, or to the empty vacuousness of not remembering. And then to add into that mix all of the different beautiful visions that every single human can carry to birth into these planes. That's a effed up mix, isn't it? And so instead of then even going, I have to have a reaction, I have to have a response. Ooh, this is a big one. I'm almost like I started feeling it. It's almost an invitation to go, how can then we start to see the people that are sharing these things, see them as whole people, look into them, encourage further communication, further conversation. To allow there to be almost like, it's neat because there's a fixed, this comes up, fixed moon, hold your vision, right? Keep that vision alive. But there's also then they're sharing, there's almost like an ask to be mutable, to be more open-minded when you step in. So you can have a strong vision. As I shared, I had to share with you, I am against capitalism. I am strongly an anti-capitalist. So I'm strongly feel that supremacist consciousness is one of the worst parasitic diseases that has plagued our minds. I have strong views about something. Do you see what I mean? I have strong views. I'm holding that vision. I'm tending to that vision and caring to it, even as I have to face every single shadow and fear, and allow then that vision to grow into my actions and into the ways that I communicate. And so this is kind of going, you may review at this time. You may review even how you communicated yesterday, or how have I communicated these past seasons? How have I initiated further connection, or have I initiated further disconnection? And why is that? And there's something very odd whenever I see this card of the 5 of Wands upside down. Almost reminds me like they're in this like fishbowl. I don't know. It's like literally that the sky then turns into water for me. As soon as we flip the switch, as soon as we see land above. And then we're like, and I almost feel like this, like, just think of those aquariums for the goldfish or for all the things. And sometimes they have those like castles and different types of things, you know what I mean, that decorate and design their aquarium abode. And I almost see it like that, like to realize that also in the multiple conflicts, sometimes we can get caught up, right? We can get caught up in potentially the fight between this person and this tunic and this person and that tunic. And we're so caught up in that we then forget about the fight of the person in the yellow tunic to the blue. Or we forget that maybe the red person and the blue person actually also are in conflict and conflicting mindsets, but they're both in agreement that they disagree with the person in the green tunic. Like, there's so many different ways for conflict to occur. And then they're almost like, well, hey, if now that it's upside down, can you kind of zoom out a bit? Can you see it for the fishbowl that it is? It's conflict. Mental conflict based from our flames, the things that we hold most dear. And so there's an ask almost to lean in and to go, is this part of the vision? Is this an aspect of the vision that I'm listening to? Is there something that I need to transmute in my response or my reactivity to it? Or is it simply something that I just need to distance myself from? It's not meaning that I'm not seeing it. I'm simply going, that fight, I will give some space because it is actually not in relation to what I am doing on the ground, what I am doing locally to support community, or what I'm doing online to support further connection. Get that fisheye view. Let yourself see the whole conflict in like a big bowl. And as you see that, to see going, okay, in all of this, I can continue to contribute and be in an aspect of the conflict, or I could potentially hold my vision and see. Now, this is kind of neat. This is the 5 of Wands in the past, and we're here now in the 3 of Wands. How beautiful, from a 5 to a 3. Much clearer, aren't they? Acclimated some of those different passions, different directions that might have felt conflicting in your life, and found the ones that could grow and could support you, be pillars of support. Ones that you trust are with you always. Outside of you. Now, this is the neat thing, because I always, the wands are holding the staff, right? Holding the staff outside of you. There's something very powerful about that, because we learn how to hold a staff or a deep connection within us. And they've given a deep invitation for that, to allow some energies to merge within. To then emulate that merging externally. And then almost like the final icing or piece of the cake is to actually then extend all that depth of work on the inside and outside of you into very supportive pillars forward. What are your pillars? What are the things? What are the things that you can name strongly are the main pillars that will drive your walk forwards, that will motivate and share deep purpose to your walk on these planes. Many of you will, I'm getting, sorry, they brought me back to this count your blessings of this writing down. They're like, many of you think this work is like that work of writing down all the things and then doing all the lists. I like doing that too. But they're sharing this is something to energetically connect with, be it in your full moon practices, with support of your ancestors, most beloved, with the support of the divine ones that you are in connection to and that you name from the depths and the depths of your heart and soul. These are the ones that have been built a long, long time ago at origin. And yes, one of them will seem like it's behind you or that cannot be seen or defined, but you just trust that it is there supporting you. Many of you might even feel that pillar of flame. So to first just trust if there's two. Those are the pillars of support. To acknowledge that there is always a third, the one that is unseen, the unseen support from those not informed or not that have ever been informed. And to, yes, the horizon of all the things that we've been taught to want, like peace, clear skies. It seems like that vision is far, or maybe even unreachable, unattainable. I'm even getting at what some of you might even feel irrelevant. And so there is a big reevaluation here of like those large tenets. Of in that holding of your vision, in that acknowledging of the things that you can lean on, that are your pillars of support, be it energetically in like pillars of truth, be it in crafts or gifts that you carry, skills. Hold on to them strong. Deep breaths, gentle, slow movements and pace this week. And to acknowledge that those hopes might shift. Which takes me to, of course, wanting to pull one more card. See, what is this looking forward to? How can I ask for so many people? How can we share this beautiful message of sharing gratitude, of caring for the body, of adorning yourself, of being strong and holding your vision, of kind of trying to rise above the constant barrage to still be enmeshed in conflicts that just massive conflict with each other. What else? This reminds me of part 2 of the 2024 divination session with Alexis Cash. 2, there's many ripples I'm feeling in this message tonight. So there's even an invitation in your reviewings, in your honorings of and looking back and acknowledging all the things and that you have done in these seasons, that if you are so guided in the playlist that says ground, base, live tarot, you can just move through even certain dates that kind of ping to you or different divination sessions, because I feel there might be some juicy bits and mini. For the moon card did come up there as well. And the moon card coming up in a future placement For me at this point, I can understand why I also even felt a bit of hesitancy in recording a full moon tarot session for you all this August because of such flux and intensity of energies. Because I know you want a diviner to potentially share. There is, don't worry, we're close. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Is there? Are we close? We could be. We might not be. There's more. It's almost like they're like, it's up to us. There's more things. There's more things. There's more agreements that need to be done. There's more actions that need to be done in the now. This work is important and quite relevant. And so it will be dependent on many factors. And so to trust your vision, to honor that the things around the almost like refining and aligning of the truth of that vision, to get rid of a bit of the riffraff and the extra fluff in the language and in the words, to allow some deep merging within, some unifying within, so that you can kind of like go, hey, I'm accessing all. I'm allowing myself to access all of me. Be it that I've defined it in these different ways of my energy body, be it that I've defined it in these different ways of, be it ancestor, soul, divine, be it that, do you see, they're just like access, allow it all to come. Allow it all to come so that then you can start to assimilate, acclimate, and potentially, yes, take the additional time to reflect and shift and continue the transmutative processes with the tides and the rhythms of the moon. For yes, there is still some uncertainty in the future because there's still a lot of focus on thinking that this from the past, this could have even been yesterday or earlier today, this hope for all conflict to end, for all conflict to ease and stop. There still needs to be some work on that. I'm even getting that type of thing about how there's been a lot of good posts of like, everybody wants to talk about we're moving beyond individualism into community. Yay! Into community. But in order to, do you know how to really nurture community? Have you been taught that? Deep gratitude to the people that have been shared for the past 2 to 3 generations in their families, how to establish beautiful open communities accepting of all beings. How wondrous. Or we may also still be learning a bit of community and actually what is conflict. The importance at times of knowing how to resolve conflict, to speak about conflict or discontent or disagreements or beyond that, differing opinions. So there seems to be, they're almost like there's some more times to come. There's some more cycles that need to be deciphered so that we can move through this together. There's still many of us that are doing this deep work individually. There are still many of us that are doing this deep work thinking that we are the only one feeling all the feels and all the things. There is still a feeling that we are the only one transforming or feeling or being shaped and reshaped on a regular basis from the wild fuckery that is occurring on these planes. There is much hope still in this future. Many of us do not wish to step. There's a bit of recalcitrance into stepping into knowing that we may all be, right? These like leaders in our walks of how we move through space and time and conversations and all the things and connections. A deep responsibility in the Three of Wands. And it's sharing that there's still some future hopes and dreams for not us to help rectify things or to make the due diligences and the due changes and the shifts in the ways that we live or do all the things, right? So many different things. So many different things that we're shifting right now, that it's almost that there's then this leaning back into this hope of and dreams of these beautiful beings in the sky coming to help us all. I really see that this hope, there's almost like this apocalyptic hope to that, yes, one of those texts, one of those sacred texts, one of those good books, one of those prophets before who shared of end of times or big challenges, that this is that type of challenge now, and that we now can just breathe and look up and wait in our faith to be rescued and to be saved. And it's wild. I see in these beautiful animals, this looking up and hope for that solace to be showered down. But in that hope, as they look up to those beautiful deities or the energy of the divine that feels like it is in the sky, it's the moon that looks back at them. The moon that reflects their own image as a mirror. And asks, who are you waiting for? You are divine. You carry the stars. You carry the earth. You carry the waters. You have been blessed with the flame. So it is time for you not to save humanity, not to step down like a big savior in the sky, but for you to see what you can do to assist your own well-being, and then potentially to feel the strength, the capacity to move beyond just that own well-being, and to see how you can tend and care further beyond yourself. What can you do? What can you do? And yes, the moon sees that we are transforming and feeling vulnerable and uncertain and all the things too. And even at times maybe helpless to the big stone pillars that we seem to all be fighting. That seems so huge. But they have not made a wall. They have not bound us in just yet. Those things that we wish to crumble and to witness in our lifetime, potentially falling and shifting for the betterment of us, the well-being of humans, trees, and all the things. There is a pathway. A pathway that might feel at times long and arduous, but that's life. A pathway as long as our life. So how can we start walking? And if we don't move that way, how can we start wheeling about, moving about with assistance and with care for our bodies, as well as a deep awareness of truly what's being revealed to us. And then hopefully, along those shifts, some of us will give up the forms of independence and accept that walk together. It can be more enjoyable together. There can be laughter amidst the tears, the grief, and the changes. There can be more love cultivated and tended and rippled forward to feed more of your being, your well-being, our well-being. Face your fears and face your hopes. And in the reflection of this full moon, in the reflection of the moon or not the moon, not seeing it in the days or the weeks that come, or the week ahead. To acknowledge what feels like terra firma, strong, firm ground, earth, because everything else will feel like it's mutating and moving. Be aware. Take moments, if you're even in the gratitude of the earth below your feet. They're almost sharing, they're like, when you feel very disorientated, potentially, to just be like, what's the direction of growth? And you'll like look down and you'll see maybe like some grass or like a plant popping up. And you'll be like, okay, thank you. That's down. This is up. So there might be some reorientating occurring. And yes, there's some grisly discomfort in what's coming. And meaning there's still some, there's like future is almost like the new F word. So if this brings up too much tension in your current reflections, to let this be your meditative, reflective work. Focus on the now. Focus what is being asked and prompted for us in the now. And trust that when you acknowledge this, like it's kind of like, this going there. There's almost a share that, like, who says when this is present and when this is future, right? Like when it comes into timing, right? This present, this work within 3 of Wands might carry you for a while. And then once you feel like you're like, oh my gosh, I finally got it. You're like, okay, now it's time to move into this. Whoa. And you do, and you move into that and you reflect a bit more. And then you come back to further understanding and awareness of what is with you now. So they're like, allow that to like, you know, that you can lean into going, okay, I'm acknowledging what has come up and prompted from this card. I'm now like working on feeling and into my body and feeling into, you know, in my connections with spirit and with the earth, of what kind of holds and supports me. And as that may be defined and refined in that process, let some reflection in. Let yourself face some of the hopes that might feel dashed, or also some of the fears of what may be coming. There's, I'm just sorry, I felt a bit of what might be coming, like, meaning just like there is such a level right now of anticipation because of certain dates and politics and certain dates, you know what I mean, and things like that, that there seems to be such a level of anticipation kind of like waiting to that point, right? Like I know there's elections coming up, right? And so it almost feels like they're waiting, like there's an energy waiting to that point, like it's all going to happen then. And there's going like instead of just like putting all your eggs into the waiting of how that thing turns out, start to do the shit now. Do the work now. Because then there can be new agreements, new conflict resolutions, new things that occur between the time that is now of watching the video and the time that is that date. And so in that multiple doings and actions and shiftings and communications and gatherings and all the stuff and the chewings of stuff and the supporting of things and the acquiring and the acquiescing of all of the things that you carry, there could then be more actual good agreements that could help unbind some of the potentiality of things that might have even been predicted or defined or divined. And things can shift. There is a malleability to the future. Even though we do feel that there are certain things that have been planned and agreed upon. And how can then we sit with those kind of combative or conflicting viewpoints? How can you carry both of those viewpoints and allow for more? Whew, that was a deep message. I'm going to have to review this one too. There's parts of me, even in when I channel and receive the message, that like sometimes there's really good points, and I'm like, whoa, I need to like get that. But then it's like gone because I'm open to receive more, if that makes sense. If some of you are channels and diviners. So I always give deep gratitude to you all for sitting through the process of a divination practice, and to acknowledge and give gratitude to those that I sit with, those that I've allowed in, of ancestry, of animal, of deity. Phew. And I continue to acknowledge that every single day, every single moment, I will continue to refine and learn and expand my gifts with ancestor, with support of the elements, of the divine ones, of those most ancient. So I look forward to and allowing potentially further change, even in translation. And I'm really, really acknowledging that before I close. I know this was a little bit longer, about an hour and a half today, but this being in the future placement, just as much as we are fixating on things, to almost acknowledge and open to the malleability dependent on the multiplicity of agreements. I know that's a weird thing to say, but the malleability dependent on the multiplicity of agreements, because there are many agreements that can occur, even today, that can be spoken out loud, that can be shared. Agreements between you and spirit, right? New agreements of soul, agreements in between you and another human, agreements between you, many people, and many people. Do you see? So it's like, just think of the amount of choices, the yeses and nos, that it couldn't even occur on a day. So now do you see how there is so much almost left up to the chance of choice and decision? So all that we can do, instead of fret of the multiple things that are kind of like incapable of us controlling, because the you know what I mean? You can't literally control every single person's mouth. That's not how things work here. We have this beautiful freedom of speech, of will, of choice. And so what we can focus on is how we choose, and what we choose to stand with, to feel secure in self, while most capable to be in better relations with each other. Ooh, and that came, I'm sorry, with a lot of fire. Thank you, stern elders that just like went through with that one. Finding your stone. Having some water. Soothing your skin today. Your organs. Resting your bones. And as we care for ourselves most gently and most lovingly, I close today also with prayers and offering. To those that have passed, to those that have been martyred, to those that do not face any form of security, and to those that are simply at present experiencing utmost despair. May the support that we nurture and tend to and care for within ourselves and our beings and our communities move through the waters, the lands, to nurture the breaths, even the very last breaths of other wonderful humans. And I share some song, I share some tones at the end of this. As I acknowledge you all, give gratitude to you all for listening in, for supporting these connections. To share some love and offering to those that have left us. May we continue to share offerings, oblations to those within our full moon practices and rituals, to support and tend to the dead as we honor and celebrate our life. I thank you for being here. You're welcome to always like my videos, to subscribe, or to join me on Patreon for further study and connections live on Zoom. I will be updating some things on my website to support more what is occurring on the ground for mutual aid, as well as what will be occurring online. but I will also honor and pace myself and listen to the messages. I am here with you. We are here together. Deep love and gratitude until we connect again. Take care. Thank you.